Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. Today, I'm really excited. I have my new friend, Victor Varnado, with me. And Victor, tell me about, we were talking about your tagline on LinkedIn. Tell me that for the audience, just so they can get a laugh, and then we'll talk about who you are and what you do.
Oh, sure. My tagline on LinkedIn is I could karate chop a mule's head off if I wanted to.
So, for the record, no mules will be harmed today.
I wouldn't, but I could.
Love it. Now, you are clearly meant for this show because I remember looking at your profile, and I think you actually use weird in your profile at least 2 times that I remember. But let's talk about what you do, and then and you talk about the intersection of several fields. I think that's fascinating.
Oh, okay. So what I do, I think the best way to describe me, I've heard, is a creative technologist. What that means is I'm an artist, I'm a creative person, but I use technology a lot and have and use it at a very high level. I have a company called Supreme Robot, which is a tech and media company. And we make everything from software to video games, TV shows, movies. And we have a few projects going on right now that are awesome, I think, if you ask me. And yeah, basically that's what I do. I come from a background where working in entertainment, and then about 8 years ago, I really started jumping into entrepreneurship as well. So I've been on Conan O'Brien as a comedian, Jimmy Kimmel Live. I'm a New Yorker cartoonist, other stuff like that. Lots of goodies.
Very cool. And one of the things I love, our audience is visionary entrepreneurs, and the hardest thing to say is, what do you do? And give me one little bucket, because we're always at the intersection of this and that and something else, right?
I have a skill that I think a lot of visionaries have, and it has helped me throughout my entire life. I didn't really put my finger on it until like about a month ago. But my biggest skill that has helped me through entrepreneurship, and actually when I was producing a lot for television and stuff like that, is I can conceive of any idea, and then I can start at zero and get it up and running. Like I can build anything. That's my skill. And I've done it in many different ways. Like for instance, at one point, what's the company? Penguin Random House came to me, and they were like, "Hey, we want to make a game show for Facebook Live. We have no idea how to make a game show." I also had no idea how to make a game show, but I made a game show, and they loved it in the end because I made it from beginning to end. Also, in a different example, I wanted to make software for writers that actually was good, AI writing software. And when I started, I had never released any sort of app before, but I had some skills in programming, and I just figured it out from 0 to 1. I can do that over and over again. I've done it in many different things. I have investors that work with me and they just like believe, like they'll throw down money if I have an idea. I'll only have a couple of people like that, because they know me very well. They trust me, but I wish the whole world was like that, because that's my ultimate goal. Is every time I have an idea, I want to be able to like do that idea, work with my friends, and have someone else pay for it. That's my ultimate goal.
I love it. I love it. And for the record, one of my favorite books you might resonate with, it's $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan. And he actually says, here's how to validate. And I think he wrote it for us. It's like, how do we build it, throw it away, let somebody else run it? And yeah, that's my heaven, is at the whiteboard stage. Once it gets into the nitty gritty of, okay, what's the right color and right font for the user interface? Not my conversation.
Got it. Yeah, I've dabbled in all of that, so like it kind of works out. I mean, obviously I have graphic design skill because of cartooning and stuff like that, so like it all kind of meshes together. So like I can come up with I can go from 0 to an MVP of something usually and make it look highly professional.
I love it. So how did you make the transition from comedian to entrepreneur? And I say transition like there's a single point in time and you went, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur. But I suspect that being a comedian, you're an entrepreneur already, but to actually building things rather than focusing on the comedy of it.
Right. I think that as a comedian, you should be an entrepreneur. I did not understand what being an entrepreneur was back in the day. And I'm still a comedian too, but like also I've expanded my toolbox. And then the way that I went from a comedian to being an entrepreneur is that I got burned out working on terrible TV shows. So the last TV show that I was working on that I was like totally burned out about was I was in, Love and Hip Hop. You know what that is?
No, I don't.
You don't know what Love and Hip Hop is at all? Do you know who Cardi B is?
Yes, I do know who Cardi B is.
Okay, so Cardi B comes from Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop is this like giant franchise that was on VH1, and basically it's just people in the hip hop world, a reality show. They had a spin-off show called Leave It to Stevie, which involves one of the stars, Stevie J, and I was a producer on that show, and that was the show that broke me. So, so at one point I was like, hey, if people will allow me to produce their $1 million projects, so like if you're like, this is $1 million project, Victor, you're on it, go produce it. Then I was like, if I'm good enough to do that, I bet that I'm good enough to do my own thing, but I need to figure out how. And so that's when I started learning about entrepreneurship. I was like, I need to figure out how to make a business out of, what I do.
I love that. Now, if you could time travel and give yourself advice on that moment, what would you tell young Victor that you wish you knew then?
If I was going to time travel, I mean, if I have a time machine, I'm not stopping 8 years ago.
Tell.
If I could time travel, I would talk to young Victor the day he moved to New York City in 1997, August 27th, 1997. And then I would tell Victor like that you need to learn a couple of things about being an entrepreneur. The most useful things that I could tell anybody about being an entrepreneur is understand gross margins. That's like the most useful thing, especially for artists, because artists have a problem of working a long time on something and not getting paid well for it. And then you just have to break everything down and look at it like a product. Like if I'm going to make a painting for you that takes me a month, how much is a month of my time worth? Then that means that painting better sell for at least, $5,000-$10,000, right? Like if it's a month of your life, so like
it's got to be worth something.
And artists don't look at things like that enough, and they don't price things well enough. And so that would be the biggest thing that I would mean. Anytime that I'm doing something, anytime that someone is giving me a check for something, like, does it actually cover the time that I put into that thing? Because if it doesn't, then you have a problem. Number two thing I would say is check out, what is the name of that book? The Fast Lane. The Millionaire Fast Lane, because that is, check out that book if you want to succeed faster. In the past, like 8 years, I've kind of stuck to that idea. In the Millionaire Fast Lane, the basic idea that he says is, if you really want to, especially if you're older, like I was when I started entrepreneurship, if you really want to make it, what you got to focus on is making sure that your paydays are bigger and bigger and bigger every single time, because and that has actually gotten me out of thinking small. Like when I started, I was really happy if someone gave me $500 for a day of my time, a day. And then now I'm just like, like I want, $100,000, $200,000, like it depends. Like, and so like when I started looking at things like that, like getting larger payoffs, I think it was actually Alex Hormozy, that guy, he encapsulated the idea really simply, which is it basically takes you just as much work to get like a $5,000 paycheck as it does to get a $200,000 paycheck. It takes about the same amount of work. And then when I started looking at it like that, it turned out to be 100% true.
And I think that's when you open your eyes, you see things. And I'll share a story. I have a friend who's a comedian, and he believes.
Wait. You've got friends. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I said a friend, not plural. I said a friend.
All right. I'm with you.
But he's a comedian, and he's like, Jeff, you don't understand. This is a calling, and it's my life I'm going to be broke and I'm going to be poor. And I'm like, as long as you believe that, I agree with you. You are going to be. But he somehow felt that it was wrong to actually make money from his comedy.
I think a lot of artists feel sort of that way. They feel embarrassed to ask for money for their work. And I don't,
yeah.
And I that used to be me. Like it used to be, I would be embarrassed to ask for money. I would be embarrassed to ask for a lot of money. I would think to myself, hey, I mean, imposter syndrome is really still strong with me, but like sometimes when I was going through things in my life recently where, like, for instance, I got a grant from the National Science Foundation for some of my work, and I did not finish college. So so when I went to the meetings with the other people who got the grants, and I hadn't finished college, and other people were like actual rocket scientists, I was like, I felt like an imposter. And why wouldn't I? But for real, like, that was like, I didn't believe that I should be in that room. I didn't believe that I was worth the money that the National Science Foundation was giving me for my research. Like, you just don't believe it. And there's no way around that. It's just, you got to understand that, like, absolutely everything that could happen to you, every positive thing, even the huge things, they're normal.
Yeah. I love it. And so what are you excited about? What are you working on today? What's and if it's confidential, don't share, but what projects are you seeing that are really lighting you up right now?
Well, right now, I remember I told you that I was working on like software to help writers. So one of the features of that software, which is called a writing coach, which helps people write by interviewing them and asking them questions rather than generating the material for them. And so that actually was reviewed by a nonprofit organization that deals with kids with autism. And they found that it was effective for people with autism to help them like finish their work, like writing exercises. And so we're now developing that project as a tool for schools. And so that's what I'm most excited about right now, because if that actually can get into schools, it can basically just help the entire world be better at writing and reasoning. So
you don't know this, but you just touched a major raw point in my life. And I'm officially going to be, and I'll say this publicly, I'm going to be your most avid supporter. So for the record, I am autistic. I have 2 autistic boys, and I also help people write books. And my greatest pain in life is when I need to get something done, I sit down and get it done. But the easiest way to freeze a fully grown adult is to say, okay, sit down and write.
I agree.
And it is, I'm fascinated by it because I'm surrounded by people who are like, yeah, I want to write a book someday. And then they come to me and say, Jeff, can you help me? And I say, sure. And then there's a whole bunch of babysitting and excuses because, well, writing's hard. And, I spend a lot of time working on their inner baggage. Imposter syndrome, it cripples more would-be authors than anything else I've seen. So let's talk about the software and where you see it going, because I think, as you said, it's great for schools. I also believe it's much needed for a lot of grown-ups.
Oh, I absolutely believe that too. So I created it for myself. I myself am ADHD. Okay. And then neurodivergence, like, obviously runs rampant in the world, but definitely in my family. What I wanted to do was I wanted to create something where, I get stuck. Like, I'm a super creative person, but often, like, it's hard to get started. And then I wanted to create a system that functions in the same way, in a helper way. Like, if you had the money to hire a ghostwriter to help you write a book, what they would do is they would sit down with you. They'd say, okay, what do you want your book to be about? And then they would interview you. And I wanted to create software that simulated that. And so within this software that I created, it's called Magic Bookifier, because I always name things silly names. It's like Purifier, Bookifier, Bookifier. Anyway, so within that is a thing called the writing coach. And what the writing coach does is you sit down at it and you're like, this is what I want to write my book about, and this is this is my general idea. And then it'll do a pre-interview with you and be like, okay, if you want to write a book about that, then it'll ask you questions to get to know, like, what the depth of your experience is. Then it takes away that pre-interview and then comes back with a full interview for your book. And you could either on the system do the interview and just answer the questions one at a time, and by the time you're done, you have first draft, or you can take that questionnaire and use it any other way and put it back in. Like, you can do it any way you want to, but basically it helps you organize and structure what your book is going to be, gives you a list of questions that you can answer. It'll ask you those questions one at a time. You can come back at any time. And that's what the basic software does. And that's what we're doing an educational version of. But if people want to use the software now, I will just remind me, I will give you a code so everybody can just try it for free. And they'll have free credits. I'll hook you up.
I love it. No, honestly, so for the record, part of my world, I am a ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. And the thing I hate most about ghostwriting is the imposter syndrome in my clients. And you described it very well, because I have an interview, I talk to them about the book. The funny thing is, I'll create a table of contents and a plan. They agree to it, and then we start writing the book, and they're like, no, this is all wrong. And what I realized was it had nothing to do with the content, everything to do with the person trying to stall it. Mm-hmm. So it's funny, but I think I'm looking at this as a tool I can just hand to people and say, when you've got the draft, let's talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect for that kind of thing. Like, it's perfect for that kind of thing, because I think everyone could go through, they could work on their phone, and then the system is made not to publish what comes out of there. Like, I actually have written a couple of books with my own software, but to be honest, none of what the software exported is the final work, because I polish it, exactly. But it gets me to that rough draft so fast that I can just spend all my time working on the real work, which is the writing part. And so, I mean, I hope people find it useful. I find it very, very useful, and I'm trying to get the word out about it, but I hope it does what people need.
Well, it's funny, because there's camps out there that we love AI, we hate AI, and I just look at it like it's a tool. Mm-hmm. And I think the fundamental thing, especially with books, is getting that first draft. People overthink that all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I, as a ghostwriter, that's my goal is, and my timeline, and I'm going to fix this because it creates a lot of urgency, but I guarantee a 1 month turnaround to the draft. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is, when you turn it around that quickly, they're still processing the identity shift of being an author. So I've learned I have to slow down and remind them that they're an author. But I love the fact that with AI, I can stop, I can do the first draft myself. It's got to be me, but then AI will clean it up very quickly.
By the way, we should talk, because I may have some clients for you. I mean, obviously, because of my software, I've got thousands, really like 15,000 people on an email list who are all interested in writing, all trying to write books. And people are using the software, but then a lot of them want help after they've written their draft. And I need someone to partner with. So let's talk about it, because I'm actually actively looking for people because I want them to have that service. I don't have the time to do it myself. I need to find competent people. You get it, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about it later, I guess.
Well, we were meant to have this conversation today because I have this vast network. Mm-hmm. So for the record, I don't love traditional publishing because I think a lot of the big houses take too much. So I'm a big fan of self-publishing. Mm-hmm. But I've surrounded myself with book coaches, ghostwriters. I have a network of editors, content editors, as well as copy editors. Mm-hmm. And the most valuable person, I personally think, is the layout design people, because that is not Jeff's space, but
oh my God, you're going to love, so I'm working on new software right now. It's called the Easy Book Formatter. Made especially because I like self-publish. And whenever you're self-publishing, you always get to that point where you have to format the book, and either you have to take hours in Canva or InDesign, or you have to hire somebody. And I just basically, but most books are like a very simple format. And so I just made software that can do that very simple format. You can do whatever, you just put in the numbers for whatever size it's supposed to be, and then it just does it, and it's done in 20 minutes. I'm making things that solve all the problems that I have. So,
well, for what it's worth, it takes me longer to lay out a book than it does to write the damn thing. Like,
and I was like, what? And so, like, the why is that? And then when I was looking around, I was like, aren't there any software where you could just drop in your text and it'll just automatically just give you a basic thing, and then you could just make adjustments, a basic formatting? And then there wasn't a lot that does it. There was a couple of things that, like, Amazon has its own thing inside the KDP thing, which is not great. And I forgot what the other one was that I found, but it was like this whole system, and it wasn't the same thing. But I just wanted to be able to be like, I just want to upload any text file, have it look through it, find the chapter headings, blah, 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 make sure all chapters start on the right page, and then, you get what I'm saying, all the stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I spent hours on that
AI
stuff.
should be doing. And I couldn't believe that nobody had set it up yet. So.
Well, for what it's worth, you and I are going to be friends here on this, because I have tried to outsource layout so many times. And for some reason, every person I've sent it to decided they were also the editor. And then I'd have to reread the book, and I'd be like, wait a minute, where did this go? And they're like, oh, we just cleaned it up a little. And I'm like, no. Layout is layout.
No, thank you.
So literally, it was taking me longer. So don't judge me, but I can write a book in an hour now. And it takes me about 2 hours to do the layout. And when I give it to somebody else, it takes me another 3 hours to fix the layout and the editing. So I decided I'd just do it all myself. But this is something AI can do well. And so, yeah, you and I are going to have a conversation, because layout is the hardest piece. It's like the most important, the final piece. And yes, the story's got to be good, but if the book doesn't look right.
The thing that bothers me is Google Docs is so close to being a simple layout engine. If only it could do facing pages correctly, and it just doesn't. And I don't know why they don't have that in there, but it would be so simple. Like the software that I made would not be necessary if Google could just do facing pages.
Well, let's have that conversation, because one of my addictions is I spend a lot of time modifying Google Docs so that it does what I want it to do. And honestly, it gets me 90% of the way there. And if I shared the little things that bug me, people would find it petty. But for example, it doesn't like the Roman numerals, small Roman numerals for the front stuff. And it doesn't like to leave a blank page where, say page 5 is meant to be blank, and then it wants to number page 6 as page 6. Like, there's a lot of weird things.
That's the stuff I changed. I mean, I really took like the very, 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 very basic function of Google Docs, and then on top of it, I built like the stuff that helped format books. Like, it'll put your blank page there, and it will number it correctly. Like, it does all that stuff. That's what I wanted.
It seriously some days feels like I'm wrestling alligators. It's just like, seriously, Google, come on. But the other weird thing, and I actually know the reason behind this, but as a ghostwriter, I'm all about the word count and the readability statistics. So I had to build my own tool in Google to do that, because they never wanted to get into that space.
Into word count?
Yeah, well, they do a basic word count, but if you go into, say, Microsoft Word and you do readability statistics, it'll give you Fleisch-Kincaid, it'll give you several different ones. Google doesn't bother with that. Little thing like counting passive sentences. And as a editor / writer, I do most of my work and my collaboration in Google, and then I have to download it to Word to get the statistics on it. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
We'll talk more. And by the way, this is how entrepreneurs solve problems. We sit around and we complain about our pain, and then we go, I bet there's a solution for that.
Do you want to help me solve a giant problem?
Oh, I'd love to.
I have a big problem right now. So, oh my God, this is a horror story. I'm going to tell you. So there's a company, Napster. Do you remember Napster? Okay,
Yeah.
so Infinite Reality was this company that bought Napster recently, and then Napster is now and then they took the name Napster. Now they're using the name Napster. Yeah. Napster basically owes me like $300,000, and I'm probably not going to get it anytime soon. And I'm sad about it, but I found a way to rectify the situation. The reason that they owe me $300,000 is because they bought a patent from me with shares. They're supposed to go. They're supposed to go public, and I can get the value of those shares. However, Forbes just came out with an article. They are under investigation for fraud. Yikes. Okay. Anyway, so that's happening. So I'm not getting paid right now. Maybe for a while. So I'm trying to replace that money in my company. Here's how I'm going to do it. Help me solve this problem. Actually, the actual problem right now is really small. Here's the small problem. I can tell you the whole problem, but here's what the small portion of the solving is. In January, I'm going to have a screen, like a 15-foot by 10-foot screen, that I'm going to display. I can display in the Port Authority bus terminal in the South Main thoroughfare. So like 6 million people are going to walk by in a month, and I'm going to have it for 2 months. Okay, a giant screen. ChatGPT says with that size screen and that much traffic, it's worth $80,000 in advertising money. But I do not want to put a blatant advertisement up on the screen. What I want to do is I want to monetize it in a different way. How do I do that?
All right. This is where it's fun.
Yeah, so it is going to be in the front of a store, which is kind of like a retail store for artistic clothing, and is sort of an art gallery. So anything dealing with art probably is a better bet for this thing. But the thing is, so in order to replace the money that I'm missing from Napster, what it's going to take is for me to make around $40K from that window in January.
Okay. And what's the
because that'll give me the money to fuel the thing that will replace the money.
And by the way, this is what I love about entrepreneurs. We'll brainstorm. By the way, 2 a.m. tonight, I'll wake up and I'll message you.
Dude, email me because I'm trying to figure it out right now.
My brain literally, I love chewing on a problem before I go to sleep. My wife, she likes to worry about work. I like to chew on a problem. And always somewhere between 2 and 3 a.m., I wake up and go. But, it's funny, but given your background, the first thought in my head was the Harmon Brothers and Poopery.
The Harmon Brothers and Poopery?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, so they're big storytellers on YouTube, and they literally built the brand Poopery from video.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking it's something clever and really distinct. It's not an ad, but so much it's pieces of a story that people walk by and see as they go.
That's great. How does that turn into 40K?
Well, the key is, and maybe it's having a conversation with Napster or whoever acquired them. But the secret is finding somebody who needs 6 million eyeballs. And, between you and me, I look at the big companies and I try to solve problems for Google and, Microsoft, because if I can solve their problems, everybody that they serve is going to serve that. So the key point there would be, what's the audience? And from there, what's the message? And I know you know these things, but that's where I'm kind of noodling, is who'd pay you $40,000 to reach 6 million people?
That's the That's the real question. So like, because I was talking to my wife Leslie about this recently, and I was like, this is one of those things where it's like easy to talk to people about it, because often when you have a product, the question is, do people want it? And the answer in this case is yes. Who doesn't want 6 million eyes potentially on their brand? Everybody.
Yeah.
So now the new question is, how do you find the people who've got the 40K and get into a real conversation with them? Because I feel like if I was in a conversation right now with someone at Google who had a checkbook, I could probably come up with a way to make it worth their while. We could come up with some sort of negotiation. But how do I get that meeting with the right people? That's the question.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right.
that's okay. You can think about it. You can simmer on it. Obviously, I didn't expect to solve it in this meeting, but whatever.
I'm actually going to throw something at you, and you and I are going to have some fun here. So you don't know me well enough to know that I am obsessed with a man named Chet Holmes. And Chet came up with the concept called the Dream 100.
Okay.
And for context, Chet is the guy that Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett would bring in when they buy a company and they needed it to double.
Oh,
and
cool. I like that.
At one point, he was simultaneously managing 9 multi-billion-dollar companies, and Charlie Munger famously pulled him into the office, and I might get the words wrong, but basically said, I want to make sure you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, or unethical, because nobody doubles sales year after year after year. And so the secret was, and this is the part most people won't do, you and I are going to talk about this more, is you identify the 100 businesses that need what you have, and then you court them to get them to give you the money for the thing you have. So it's very targeted, but I guarantee in your existing network now, you've got 10 people somewhere that would be willing to help you or pay you that money. So the key is figuring out who would pay you that money, and my network's your network, because if we're working on a book together, we're going to figure this out. Like, I like helping people, but the secret is you and I both already know somebody who needs 6 million eyes. And I'm going to be really, really, really candid, but I feel like, coming through Christmas into January, it's probably something related to fitness or finance more than anything, because that's when people are sort of coming down. But the reality is, and I'm going to throw it out to my network. I have a friend who actually does all of the video advertising in airports.
There you go. I mean, that's the type of person I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let me tell you about like the project that it's fueling, because this has to do with airports. Okay. So, how much time do we have on this thing, sir?
I will watch the clock. We've got about another 10 minutes, and then I'll let you back to your day. So,
all right. So this is I'm really excited about this. So for the past 2 years, on the side, I've been making video games and having video game contests. Okay. And I make the video games, and then I have a contest, and I call it a worldwide competition, because it all takes place on my website, so anybody in the world can log on and play.
Yeah.
Okay. The video game contests, I've done 6 of them over the past 2 years. They started with a budget of nothing. The last one, the budget was $100,000. Okay. And that was I shouldn't have said the exact number, because I shouldn't tell you the company now what they paid me. But it was a big liquor company. You could actually look it up if you really want to find it. All right. So then I'm doing another one, but for these video game contests, what I created was this technology. So the video game, I created this technology around the video games, where I can throw parties. So at these parties, what happens is I put up a screen, which is a leaderboard, like in an old video arcade. Yeah. And then you scan the QR code of the leaderboard. Then you can play the game on your phone. And then if you win, your name goes up on the leaderboard of all the people in the room. Right. So that's how we threw parties. And it was a great way to throw parties. Yeah. But then I realized, people love playing this game. They sign up. We're getting everybody's email addresses. And it's 80% adoption rate. Shouldn't this be an app for like sports bars, events, blah, 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 airports? This, like when people are waiting around, and they get scanned and blah, blah, blah. So I created this app around it, a SaaS app that does, that uses the technology that we used called High Score Host. And in February, which is why we're doing this thing in January, in February, we're going to have one of those leaderboards on the screen in Port Authority for 30 days. So we're going to have for 30 days, we're going to be a worldwide video game competition. Anybody in the world can play. If you play, your name goes up on the leaderboard in Port Authority. If you scan at Port Authority, you can win prizes, local prizes. The whole budget for this thing is $150,000. We're talking to sponsors right now. So that's what I'm doing. So, and then, are you aware of how lucrative newsletters are right now?
Absolutely obsessed with them.
Here we go. So there's a newsletter attached to my video game thing. So when people sign up, every time somebody signs up, they go to our newsletter, which is about the video games and contests. When we do February, we estimate at minimum we're going to get 200,000 people in our newsletter. Each one is going to be worth at least 50 cents MRR monthly. Yeah. And then we're doing another one in July. So over the next year, we're going to get at least 400,000 people on our email list for this video game competition, and that's going to be $200,000 MRR.
I love that, and honestly, I think that's so. If I could time travel and tell young Jeff one thing, it would be to get his head out of his butt and build email lists, because I've spent a lot of time on rented platforms and things like that, and the value is always in the list.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to acquire email lists because there's so many people. I almost had this giant email list of 2 million people. There was this company called I can't tell the name of the company, but it doesn't matter. They have a great email, a great URL. Like back when they own actually I can tell you who they are. They own charge.com. So they have a great URL. But they've had it for so long, they've got millions of emails and they don't use them at all. Like at all.
Sitting on gold, wondering where the next sale is.
One email with a ad in it that is served from an ad network, because you don't even have to search for ads anymore. And they can make like tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, ah. And so I've been hunting people who have email lists where they just don't know what they're doing with that email list. And I'm trying to get as many emails as possible. And I'm also trying to figure out ways to build email lists like what I just told you.
I love that. And we'll have a conversation about email lists, because I see so many, and I also love those assessments. My wife, I shouldn't admit this, but she always loves those, which Disney princess are you, or which Bond villain? Like, she's always filling those in. Yeah. And then nothing comes of it. And I'm like, why are you asking for an email address just to send out some weird thing? And it's interesting because I work with a lot of coaches and consultants. They have these wonderful assessments. They can tell you where you're stuck in your business, but literally you get one email with the special report and that's it. And I'm a big fan of newsletters and things like that, because as a marketer, full well that it's most expensive to get the first view. Once you've got their attention, you just need to keep giving them some stuff.
I think every business should be a hybrid newsletter business. Like, you should attach a newsletter to whatever, because it's just easy. Yeah,
it's fascinating because you will love $1 Million Weekend, I promise. Noah Kagan built AppSumo as a newsletter.
I've actually sold on AppSumo before. I know the whole deal.
Yeah, and that's the magic of it is, and I'm obsessed with what I'm calling other people's audiences, because everybody wants to go out and find their own audience, and they're complaining that the algorithms aren't giving them enough attention, or boo-hoo, Google's search engine changed. But the reality is, if you build your own tribe, they will follow you, and if you've got that email list, it is the single most valuable asset I think any business can own.
It's crazy valuable.
So I'm kind of thinking, and this is the way my brain works, but I'll come up with more thoughts. You can get pennies on the dollar from big companies. They'll pay you to advertise, and they pay based on number of eyes reached and things like that. But the reality is, $40,000 worth of marketing is worth significantly more than that to you for your company if we could find a way to turn it into email list.
It is, and so with for me, what the $40,000 covers is it covers making sure that we have all of the tech, together for this thing, and once we have all the tech together, everything else is actually easy, because then I have a company that is working with me to talk to sponsors. So the rest of the money comes, but I want to start the process of doing all the work and making sure that everything is perfect, because part of the January activation is making sure the tech is going to be perfect for the February activation, which is the big one where all the money is. Yeah.
So I'm going to do something new, and it's my podcast, so I can.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to encourage anybody who's listening and watching, DM me or reach out to Victor and share your ideas. Let's truly show what brainstorming can do. So I want to hear ideas. If Victor's got this big screen in the Port Authority, how could he monetize it? And Victor, for what it's worth, I put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to connect you with a couple of people that I think can help you with this. So
I greatly appreciate it. I'm, just like any other entrepreneur, I'm trying to figure things out. I'm mad at Napster. You know how it is.
It's funny. I remember seeing Napster coming back, and I'm like, I thought they were so buried in lawsuits from, decade ago or whatever it was, but apparently they dug out, and so let's find a way to add value. And I'm sometimes petty, so I'm thinking, who's Napster's competitor? How could we get them to pay for Napster shortfall?
I feel like they don't have a competitor, because they're killing themselves right now.
They don't need help, I guess.
They're already being investigated by the SEC. So that's pretty big.
Yes, that's the SEC starts sniffing around.
I was reading this article and I was like, oh no.
It's being an entrepreneur. You're like, oh, this is going to impact my cash flow, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have to tell you. For me, having a small company, having an asset like that tied up for so long and then not being paid on it is kind of devastating. It sucks. It does.
Well, and that's the problem, is there's not a lot of market. There's no liquidity for it until the regulators give a ruling.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't even know what to. I'm so glad that I have other options. I'm so glad that I was able to figure out a thing. I'm so glad that I was making video games for the past couple of years on the side, because otherwise I would not have this option to replace this revenue that my company was expecting. Insane.
Well, for what it's worth, I have 2 teenage boys, both obsessed with video games. So if we can figure out a way to help you, between you and me, I give them homework while we're driving in the car, and I make them solve business problems. So I'll see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm making. So with my site right now, when we're not sponsored, I still just do random tournaments. So if you want, let's keep in contact, and you tell me, and I'll throw a random tournament for one of the games on the site, and then your sons can jump in. Because of the games on the site, I've made I think it's 5 games on the site, and I made 4 of them. And they're all just different style games. I've learned a lot about games and people and what kind of games most people play. It's pretty interesting.
Well, it's fascinating space, and total tangent, but one of my son's favorite games is a game called Helldivers 2, and it's
based on one of my favorite movies.
It's a very cool game. However, if you go into the history of it, their gaming engine, I can't remember the name of the company, but it got acquired by a big company and they shelved it in the midst of developing the game. So
Wow.
they branched the gaming engine off, and they're trying to maintain and develop. And I'm like, oh God, you guys got to come up with the version 3, because version 2, they've literally said publicly, we're going to run it until the servers blow up, and then we'll launch version 3. So my son's like, can you help find a way to solve that? And I'm like, that feels like a big thing, but
were you a fan of Starship Troopers?
yes.
Yeah, they heavily base Helldivers on Starship Troopers.
I did not connect the two.
Yeah. I mean, just watch Starship Troopers and look at any of the videos from Helldivers, and you'll be like, oh, it's the Starship Troopers. They're fighting bugs, like, for the frontier. Let's go, everybody. It's the same. But they openly admitted that they did. So
I love it. Well, and that's the thing. I think they've branched off so far from it was Unity. They've branched off so far that they can't even transition to a new engine, because the Unity to other engine transfers requires pure code. So, but I love the video game world, because it's my sons and I were trying to build our own game on our home computers, and we're learning things like GPU limits and CPU limits. And
but have you built something small first? Did you build something tiny?
Oh God, no.
Oh, you started out, you're like, oh, let's make our own Skyrim.
Yeah. So let's just say the first project was ambitious. We both my boys love Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and there's a video game based on that. So we were trying to recreate the theme park, but at a smaller scale. And there's a lot of physics and a lot of stuff. So we're going to scale back, and we decided we're going to start. So we're actually going to build a game based on how to use generative AI properly. So that's the boring adult lessons behind it. But we're going to figure out a nice little storyline, and we're going to show kids how to learn it. Because right now my kids in school, the official stance is AI is evil, don't use it. And if you get caught, you're cheating.
I'm actually on a panel of AI experts for education. Start in December. I'm going to be on a panel. Because of the work that I'm doing, and and teachers do have the idea like we should ban AI, block it. Like that's what most teachers are thinking, and that's just impossible. Like, what are you like? That's not going to work. And so they're just trying to figure out a way to approach. They're trying to figure out a way to approach working with AI in a way that actually helps students. And so hopefully I can help them with answers. We shall see. I mean, it's anybody's guess right now. I mean, it's the Wild West in AI. Oh my gosh, this is the craziest thing. So I have one friend who, because there's so many people who are using AI who are not using it correctly. To the point, one friend who is trying to get a job for at CNN, okay? And CNN hired some company to use AI to scour his old social media posts to see if he's posted anything wrong, because are you going to work with CNN? And the report that they gave CNN, the company gave CNN, was terrible. Obviously, somebody using AI wrong. Like, for instance, it would he said something like, I'm, shooting the shit with my friends or something like that. And then it saw the word shoot and thought it was violence, like a gun. And then so that means that whoever is a company supplying the reports don't know how to use AI. And then CNN, the company getting the reports, they don't know how to use AI. They don't know what they're getting. So that's why this person who doesn't know how to use AI was able to sell to a giant company like CNN and have them affect their hiring. That's so crazy, right? People are using AI.
Makes my head explode.
And then nobody knows. Nobody can tell because they just don't have it's such a new technology that people just don't understand. And so the person at CNN, who's probably an old fuddy-duddy, was listening to this younger person who barely knows what they're talking about, thinking, oh, this young person knows everything. And they don't. But they have no way of knowing the difference. And that's so crazy to me.
And for the record, fuddy-duddy does not get used enough today. So thank you for that.
I use the word fuddy-duddy, and I also use booby prize a lot.
Love it. Well, Victor, I could talk to you all day. How can people get a hold of you if they've seen this and they're the head of a big company with a big budget, where can they go to learn more about you or find out how you guys can work together?
Go to supremerobot.com. That has most of the projects that I'm working on are listed there. And on the bottom of supremerobot.com is a chat bot that says hi. Click that chat bot. You can ask it any questions you want. It'll answer you. And if you leave your email, it'll contact me immediately.
I love it. Well, Victor, thank you for taking the time to hang out with me Thanksgiving week and all. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.